Hello, this is week 10 and I'm going over our last problem for the quarter. This is the problem I came up for. So here we have a situation where we're outdoors. It's a nice, pretty sunny day and we're out in the woods. And over here we have two men that decided to go out camping for the day, and they're having a great day playing some cards, and they're enjoying some music played by Mr. Bigfoot over here. He decided to have a new hobby, so now he plays the clarinet. And we want to find out what is the fundamental frequency after he's playing for about 10 minutes, since we know there will be a temperature change in the open-close system. Now over here, our two men are playing poker, but they're not having too much luck because they're both getting pairs. And we want to know what is the entropy of a pair when you're playing poker. So then the day goes on and something even worse happens. So they're cooking some potatoes here. And then they put it in some salt water. So since salt water is pretty dense, our potato is going to be floating. And we want to know what the force of buoyancy is on the potato. And since we know they added some salt to their water, given the specific amount of salt and the specific amount of water that they used to cook the potato, we want to know what is the density of salt water that is in this pot. And then on here, they also have a piston, which we will touch up on later. And they have their water jug because they want to stay hydrated. So this potato, it turns out that it gets really hot in the pot and it shoots off. And not too far away, there's a mechanic. And he's really buff, but he skips leg day once in a while. So he's very built up above and quite slim on his legs. So then what happens is this potato will hit his head. And when that happens, we want to know what the speed of the potato is when it hits the mechanic's head. And so then the potato from his head, it drops onto this hydraulic lift. So here we have our mechanic, and he adds like rocks to this hydraulic lift to lift the car so that he can work on it from underneath. And when the potato falls, this car is lifted by some amount of height. And so then we want to know what is the mass of the potato based off of the height that this hydraulic lift went up. Now going back to our two men playing poker, since they weren't having too much luck playing their game and they were both kind of losing and they weren't having that good of a time, and they lost their food because all they had to eat was that potato. So they're pretty upset about it. And one of them, it's so enraged that to release his negative energy, he punches their water jug here. And so then this is a situation here that we have where there is now a hole at the bottom of their water jug, and that water turns off their fire. So then here we want to know that at what velocity does the water exit the jug using Bernoulli's equation. We can figure that out. And then that piston that we had there originally cools down. And so then it is an isobaric compression. And we want to know how much work is done by the isobaric process. So then moving over here to where we have our very buff guy. Since he's a mechanic and he was working underneath the car that just so happened to have some issues with the gas tank. So he had a few droplets of gasoline on his head. And since this potato was really, really hot, when it hit his head, it catched on fire. So he runs off to the neighboring river or pond that is off to the side, and he jumps into the river. And now finally we want to know what is the energy of the wave or the ripple from him jumping into the water. All right, and that's all for my story. I hope you enjoy and thank you for watching.